This is What the Stats, and today we're diving deep into one of the most surprising stat stories in Manchester United's season so far. There's a player at Old Trafford who just a few months ago everyone thought was finished, done, surplus to requirements, over the hill. Casemiro was last choice midfielder, behind Bruno, behind Ugarte, Menu, and even Collier. Amorim barely played him. The narrative was clear. At 33 years old, he was just counting down his final days at Manchester United. But then something happened. The stats tell a completely different story. Let's dive deep into the numbers. With Casemiro on the pitch, Manchester United concede one goal every 110 minutes of play. Without him, one goal every 31 minutes. That means United is more than 3.5 times more vulnerable defensively without Casemiro. Think about that for a second. The difference between a solid defense and a leaky one, it all comes down to one player's presence. Let's break down the actual numbers. With Casemiro on the pitch this season, 553 minutes played, just 5 goals conceded. That's incredible defensive control. Now without him, 347 minutes, 11 goals conceded, more than double the goals in fewer minutes. If you scale that out to 90 minutes, a full match with Casemiro, United concede 0.81 goals per game. Without him, that jumps to 2.86 goals per game. In a 38 game Premier League season, that's the difference between a 31 goals conceded and 109 goals conceded. One player, that's the defensive difference. Now you might be thinking, okay, but correlation doesn't mean causation. Maybe United just lost games without him because of other reasons. Fair point. Let's look at specific matches and see what actually happened. Brentford, Casemiro was serving a one-match suspension, unavailable, and the moment he wasn't there, you could see it on the pitch. United got completely overrun in the middle. Brentford's midfield dominated. There was no shield in front of the back three, no one breaking up play. The fullbacks were exposed, and Brentford's attackers they had acres of space to operate. That's what happens when Casemiro isn't there to do his job. Then there's Manchester City. This one's an interesting one because Casemiro played, but he only came on in the last 10 minutes as a substitute. For 80 minutes, United were without him, and for those 80 minutes, Manchester City controlled the game completely. They moved the ball around like it was a training session. United's midfield just didn't exist. No pressing, no recovery, no structure. By the time Casemiro came on, it was already 3-0. The damage was done. Here's where things get really interesting. Most people assume that if you remove a defensive midfielder, your team should attack more freely, right? Fewer defensive responsibilities, more players forward, more goals seems logical. The stats say a completely opposite story. With Casemiro on the pitch, 12 goals in 553 minutes. That's a goal every 46 minutes. Without him, 5 goals in 347 minutes, a goal every 69 minutes. United is actually more prolific when Casemiro is on the pitch. Why is this happening? It's because defense enables attack. When Casemiro shields the back three, the system is stable. Bruno knows there's protection so he can take risks in the final third. The fullbacks know the midfield is covered so they can push forward aggressively. And every time Casemiro wins the ball, and he's averaging 3.45 tackles per game by the way, he's starting a potential counter-attack. More defensive security equals more attacking confidence. It's actually beautiful football architecture. And here's the cherry on top. Casemiro himself is scoring. In the last 2 weeks, he has scored 2 goals and picked up an assist. That's more goal involvement than he has had in entire previous seasons combined. At 33 years old, Casemiro is having one of his most productive attacking seasons. That's not just stats, that's a player finding a new dimension to his game. Let's look at actual match record when Casemiro starts versus when he doesn't, because anecdotes are interesting but patterns are convincing. Matches with Casemiro starting. Burnley, a win. Chelsea, when he was on the pitch, led to goal contributions, a win, then he got a red card. Sunderland, controlled performance. Liverpool, crucial 3 points. Even in the loss to Arsenal, United played reasonably well defensively. It was a set piece that cost us. He started 9 games this season and United have 18 points from those games. 2 points per game. That's great form. And more importantly, there's organization, there's structure, there's team shape. Matches without Casemiro starting, Manchester City 0-3, Brentford 1-3. both losses, both showing a midfield that just can't function without him. To really understand the Casemiro effect, you need to understand what Amorim is really trying to build tactically. And it all revolves around the specific formation, the 3-4-2-1. Three centre backs at the back for defensive solidity, full backs who push high to create width, a single defensive midfielder, that's Casemiro, who holds the line and provides security. Then Bruno Fernandes as a number 8 with freedom to roam and three attackers up front. Now here's the critical part. Casemiro isn't just a tackling machine. He is the system's keystone. Without him, the entire structure falls apart. With him, he sits between the back three and attackers, breaks up play, intercepts passes, makes the short passes available to start attacks. The fullbacks see him covering the middle and feel confident to push forward. Bruno has the license to roam because there's someone holding the line. Without him, that middle position is empty. There's no shield. The back three suddenly feel vulnerable. Bruno has to drop deeper to provide cover, which means he's not attacking. The fullbacks can't push because there's no one covering at home. And suddenly gaps appear everywhere. Now here's something that's been puzzling United fans. The club paid big money for Manuel Ugarte. He was supposed to be the defensive midfielder solution. But right now, Casemiro looks far more important than Ugarte. Ugarte is not reading the system the way Casemiro does. To really appreciate where Casemiro is right now, you have to understand where he was just a few months ago. Because this is actually a comeback story. Earlier, it seemed to us that Casemiro wasn't part of the long-term plans of the club. Reports emerged that the club was open to offers. At 33, with his contract winding down, it looked like his United career was essentially over. He was last choice midfielder, playing some cameos here and there. The narrative was a great player, but his time has passed. Then some injuries happened. They always do. Suddenly Casemiro got his chance. Maybe Amorim was forced to play him, or maybe he saw something in training, but whatever it was, Casemiro got regular minutes and he absolutely seized them. In Europa League matches, he started, played well, scored some goals. He was sharp, aggressive, intelligent. Then that form carried into the Premier League. And once he started playing regularly, his fitness improved, his understanding with the system deepened, and suddenly he wasn't a backup, he was essential. In the last two games, Casemiro scored twice. Twice at 33 years old, after being told he is surplus to requirements. He's earned praise from Amorim, he's got the crowd back on his side, and there's even talk of a potential contract extension. This isn't just a statistical resurrection, this is a human story. A player proving he's still got it, proving that experience, intelligence, and understanding of the game can beat age and pace any day of the week. But here's the uncomfortable question this all raises. Is Manchester United's system too dependent on one player, especially when that player is a 33-year-old defensive midfielder? If Casemiro gets injured, and at his age, injuries happen, United suddenly become vulnerable again. Without him, the system just doesn't work. It also raises the question about United's transfer strategy. United spent big on Ugarte, but Casemiro, who was supposed to be a backup, is proving more valuable. Does that mean the transfer planning missed something? Or is it just that Casemiro's experience is legitimately that important? These are the deeper questions the stats raise, because the numbers are clear. Casemiro makes a massive difference. But what does that difference tell us about the system itself? Is Casemiro genuinely Manchester United's most important player right now? Or does that expose a deeper structural and transfer issue within Manchester United? I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments below. Should United extend his contract? Is the system too Casemiro dependent? Let's debate it. Thanks for joining in. Bye bye.